You faced battles most never fought, pain, struggle, adversity. But here, we use that as fuel. This is the Battle Harder podcast, where we motivate, educate, and inspire warriors of life, veterans, survivors, leaders. We share stories and strategies to turn pain into progress. Here's your host, Coach Rob. Let's lock in and battle harder.
What is up, Warriors? Coach Rob here today, and we are talking about one of the hardest pills to swallow, and that is the failure pill. Welcome to the Battle Ready series, a mini series where I give you solo episodes every week of the top 25 personal development questions and answers that I can give you to help you turn your pain into progress and become the best version of yourself. Most people, when we fail, we see it as the end. I try to see it as a mirror every time I hit rock bottom, which it's been a lot of my life has been at rock bottom. I've always found out who I really was, and that is the lesson. Rock bottom isn't the place where you go to die. It's the place where you go to rebuild. So when I said I've hit rock bottom multiple times, there's a lot in my life, and as I've referenced before, I think if you go back to the beginning, there's some story times, some things where I talk about things that have happened in my life, my military service, my marriage, and everything, right? And one of the biggest setbacks I had that put me at rock bottom was that after 18 years of marriage, 3 kids later, I found myself divorced. And I thought that that was the end. That put me in a severe amount of depression that caused a whole new set of issues in my life because let's face it, you get a divorce, you have to move, you have to split assets, you have to go to court, you have to do time sharing. And the funny thing is, all these 18 years that I was married to my first wife, I told myself I would just suck it up. I would stay with her, right? Be miserable, be unhappy, do it for the kids, and do it because I didn't want to go through a divorce and I didn't want to go through what people go through when you have a divorce. And guess what? It happened everywhere anyway. Leaving law enforcement, here's a double whammy to the hitting rock bottom. If some of you guys may know, in 2021, I lost my strength and conditioning gym. I opened a strength and conditioning gym in 2018. In 2021, due to primarily mismanagement of the gym, but COVID, I lost my gym. I had to shut down. I had to close my doors forever. And at the same time, while this was happening and needing an income, I decided that I was going to go back into law enforcement, right? So after I got over the depression or the sadness of losing my gym, and working a bunch of odd jobs because of needing income, decided to go back into law enforcement, become a cop again, become a cop in the state of Florida, got certified, found a job as a police officer, and was only there for 4 months. Was only there for 4 months because at 46 years old at the time, I just didn't want to put up with the bullshit. I didn't want to put up with the crap I had to deal with from the bad guys. I didn't want to deal with the crap that I put up from society, hating police. I didn't want to put up from the department that treated me like garbage. I didn't want to freaking put up with the fact that I couldn't handle my mental health issues because a young man killed himself and I had to process the scene. And that was a very hard pill to swallow, seeing someone actually commit suicide and dealing with their body and the weapon and the scene of the crime and all that craziness. And I had a breakdown and I quit and left with nothing. So, I mean, between the divorce, between my Navy career, between owning a business, between not being able to lock down a job, I've had rock bottom a lot. But that's not the end, right? That's why we're here. That's why I do the Battle Harder podcast. What you thought was the end, that turned into the foundation. I thought failure meant I was done. But what I realized is that failure was just a brutal teacher. It stripped away the ego, the noise, and everything in between. And it left me with truth. And when you meet your truth, when you are inside deep within yourself, that's where the growth starts to happen, right? And I want to give you 3 main lessons. So if you've listened to the Battle Harder series, and I've said this every time, I usually give you like 3 pain points or 3 tips or 3 lessons, and then 3 ways to overcome that, and then a call to action at the end. So you can actually take action in the information that I give you. So I want you to realize that lesson 1, failure is a mirror. It's not a death sentence. You have to stop labeling it as the end. It is actually the beginning of being clarity. Pain shows you what is not aligned in your life anymore, right? And I always like to say or feel or think that if you don't give up, like if you're doing something, trying to start a business, uh, trying to get in shape, trying to be a better husband, a better father, better parent, you know it takes time. You know anything worth doing takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. So if you don't give up, is that really a failure? If you keep going, is that really a failure? Just because the desired results weren't what you expected doesn't mean that you failed, right? You have to analyze, don't personalize. Analyze, don't personalize. Ask yourself, what broke? What did I ignore? What's the lesson here you have to learn from these supposed failures? You have to have the warrior mindset. I lost my ground, but I didn't lose my identity. Okay. And then you have to rebuild with better armor. When you lose everything, rebuild from your values, not validation. Do not seek validation. Work from an internal place of your values and what matters to you. Use my model, the Battle Harder model, which is reflection first, then what's the lesson, then start to rebuild. Reflection, lesson, rebuild. I can't read this. That's hard to say. Reflection, lesson, rebuild. Reflection, lesson, rebuild. Try saying that 3 times fast. Share your story. Don't hide in it. People will relate to your scars more than your highlight reel. Remember, life is hard. We all go through shit, trauma, and deal with struggles in our life. And that's what's going to make you more authentic, is when you share with that community, that people, that family, that friends, that you're struggling. And they may even be able to offer you tips of how to get out of that struggle, but your vulnerability equals your credibility. Vulnerability equals credibility. You don't have to put a highlight reel on Instagram. If you go to my social media and you go to Instagram and go to my page, it's all authentic. I don't filter. I don't sugarcoat. I don't show the good times. There's plenty of posts when I've been depressed and thought I couldn't go on, and it's there. Be your authentic self. Your vulnerability equals credibility. So here's some practical takeaways, right? Journaling. I talk about journaling a lot. Usually every time I give you your call to actions, it's writing shit down, because if you write shit down, you're putting it out there in the universe, you're writing it, you're seeing it, you can read it, you can say it, and then it starts to get into that subconscious and become a truth. So journal with a journal prompt that's, what's the greatest lesson failure ever taught me? Sit there, think about it for a little bit, and then write 3 things down that you gain from that experience that wasn't a loss, right? Write down 3 things you gained, not lost, from that experience. Replace your uh, statements, your I statements. How we speak to ourselves is very powerful. If you go listen to my last episode with Nina Perez, we spoke on this, right? You have to say things instead of, I failed with this, I trained for this. I quit, I'm not going to quit. I can't do this. I can do this. I can't go through this. I can go through this. How you speak to yourself speaks volumes. I can't preface this enough. How you have to speak yourself to help get out of that insanity loop, especially if you're someone like me beyond having problems hitting rock bottom, but having mental health issues, severe mental health issues. You have to have that positive self-talk, and you have to have that shit on a loop, on repeat, over and over and over again until it works, right? So in closing, remember, a warrior's failure, it's part of how you forge yourself, right? You're not going to become battle hardened by winning every fight. You're going to get there by surviving the losses. Rock bottom isn't your burial ground, it's your launching pad. Keep turning pain into progress, and I'll see you in the next episode. This episode gave you any value, entertainment, or just helped you think a little bit, share this with someone who's rebuilding after a setback. Leave a review if this episode hits home, as that helps my mission grow. And if you're ready to rebuild your body, mind, and purpose, head to battleharder.com. Thank you.
You've just heard another battle-tested conversation. Now it's time to take action. If this episode lit a fire in you, subscribe on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, or YouTube, so you never miss a moment that could change your life. Want to go deeper? Connect with Coach Rob at BattleFittedBrand.com for coaching, gear, and tools to help you turn your pain into progress. Remember, life will test you, but you're built to battle harder. Until next time, stay locked in, stay ready, and keep showing up.